Hello and welcome to Expertage, a thought leadership initiative by Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. I am Ajinkya Ingle, your host for today's discussion. At Expertage, we bring together industry leaders and our experienced analysts to discuss the key topics within the information and technology domain, offering their valuable perspectives and knowledge sharing. And today we have an exciting discussion lined up on the real-time feedback and AI transforming the voice of customer platforms. We will also explore the importance of direct and inferred data in gaining a comprehensive 360-degree understanding of customer feedback. And of course, the integration of VoC with the contact center as a services. Apart from this, we will also see the growing demand of voice of employee and its synergy with the VoC. And to discuss this, we are honored to have with us Ozkan Demir, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Pisano. Uh, Welcome, Ozkan.
Thanks,
Joining
Ajinkya.
Ozkan, we have Shruti Jadhav, who is the Vice President and Principal Analyst for Customer Experiences, and Abhishek Dubey, Analyst from Quadrant Knowledge Solutions. Ozkan, Shruti, and Abhishek, welcome to Expertage. Shruti, I would like to hand over this conversation to begin our discussion.
Sure. Thanks, Ajinkya. And thank you, Ozkan, for joining us today. So now that you're going to talk about the voice of the customer platforms, I thought, let's pick up this topic of real time, the importance of capturing real time feedback and obviously AI. So I thought, let's start with discussing the importance of real time feedback in the VOC platforms. And like, as we know, customers today expect immediate responses and personalized interactions. And I think real time feedback, it enables organizations to capture customer sentiments and their experiences as they happen, to provide a unique opportunity to, address issues promptly to the brands and also enhance the customer satisfaction. Also, with that, there are great examples of world famous brands like Starbucks or even Marriott or Netflix. As they analyze viewer behavior and ratings to inform content acquisition, production, and personalized recommendations. And I think these brands, they showcase a great example as to where they're just relying totally on the customer feedback in every form, right? And it's one of the important aspects. But what they are relying on this is basically to gain more insights and take the strategic actions and ensure that they are delivering a smooth customer experiences. And I think they are able to gather real time contextual feedback and use it to personalize the experience in a great way. Obviously, with that, AI plays a critical role in this process by analyzing vast amounts of data quickly and accurately by identifying patterns and also predicting trends. So, with your great expertise into this technology, Oscar, we would love to hear your perspective on how brands are leveraging real time feedback to enhance their VOC strategies or customer experience strategies and drive better outcomes.
First of all, thank you very much, Shruti, and everyone, having myself in Pisano in this beautiful event. So, content is eating the world. There is content all, everywhere, starting from, couple seconds short videos. There are platforms like TikTok now, Instagram, taken to, old school TV shows that still essentially our moms and dads are watching. And then, bringing a good quality content to industry is really what industry needs. And hopefully this is going to create that effect in the industry that people reach out to good quality content with the help of Quadrant Solutions. And again, the honor is mine being a part of this great initiative. So I would like to thank you again for bringing this up for the development, let's say for the best of the industry. Starting with the real-time feedback. So again, we are in the business of feedback. So our vision is to get the world surrounded by customers and employees' feedback. And talking about the real-time impact, so when we can come to the second and third part of implementation of voice of customers in digital channels like mobile, like web, etc., these are where customers' interaction is on the front end. It's pretty real time. So depending on the tech stack on the business side, where businesses can get that real time feedback there. the issues that we do see mainly, and unfortunately, this is about 70% of our industry still, where people heavily rely on file exports, batch data transfers, where they are not even real time, but not even in the same day, where they get an export of those transactions in the day, and they schedule all these activities the next day. So although they are still good, and then there may be various technological reasons and limitations and capabilities to do that, where like the component of real time, you try to measure the real experience instead of the remembered experience. There is a difference between the real experience and the remembered one. And again, we started with the content, and then there is a lot of things that we consume as a consumer, throughout the day. And then when we go to the next day, we will only remember a few things about that experience. And then, while we make these analyses and we work on these decision-making processes, more data points will help these businesses. Again, one of the remembered or let's say forgotten areas within that experience may be very crucial for those businesses to change processes, journeys, channels, experiences to really provide that experience to their customers. So the experiences, the examples that you shared when you were making the introduction, Shruti, are mainly or predominantly digital native or heavily digital platforms, so that they actively use this data. So, both taking the operational data, and if we get into the details, and again, I think you already mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about also indirect and inferred feedback. So there are three types of feedback that we collect: direct, indirect, and inferred. So direct and indirect are, still a bigger part of the industry, but inferred is coming there, and I'll leave it here and then connect to the AI part. With the inferred, especially in the digital channels and especially in like call center areas. Let me give you a simple stupid example. So you have a call center, right? And I called you. I waited on the line for 10 minutes, and then my call dropped. I couldn't even connect to the agent. I called again, and then I waited for another 10 minutes. My call dropped, and I couldn't talk to the agent. I called the third time. I waited for 20 minutes. I finally reached out to the agent. Do you think there is a point of asking for my feedback? Not really. Not really. So sometimes those operational data, again, there are various naming of that inferred feedback data, tells a lot. So if you expect a customer to be extremely happy or happy after 2 times they're being dropped off from the call center queues, already spent about 40 minutes with you, it tells already a lot. So where inferred feedback comes into place, connecting that to AI, where AI will play a key role. Again, on digital channels, AIs will be very strong, making recommendations on products, next journeys, next steps, even design. So we may see, in a year or two from now, the website that you see on a bank will be completely different than what I do see, depending on our preferences. When we go to a retailer, the products that you're going to see will be extremely different than what I do see, depending on these capabilities of the AI tools. And connecting that to the feedback will be extremely personalized, depending on the journeys and experiences that we go through. And then also AI will be an important component of collecting these feedback. As you know, our industry was stuck with surveys for about 20, 30 years now. It's surveys still, apart from indirect and inferred feedback. I assume AI will be a partner body, a medium in collecting these feedbacks. And again, as Pisano, we would like to lead that change. And there are quite interesting announcements that we're going to make soon.
Great to know those insights, Ozkan. And you mentioned about the remembered data and also the remembered feedback and also the real feedback. So the real time one. So I think that is the way you put it across is really great. And I think, you also mentioned that inferred feedback is now really picking up. So definitely, I think, brands need to take cognizance of just not capturing the direct feedback, but also, proactively monitor their online reputation and what also know from different different sources what the customers are talking about them. So I think I think they need to have a comprehensive understanding of the customer feedback also, just not only through direct data but also indirect and inferred data, which is equally important. Right, because I think obviously surveys and reviews, they provide valuable insights, but it's often just a piece of the puzzle, right? So this is
Absolutely.
definitely important. And I think also with that, we would love to hear from you on the employee experience. So, over to you, Abhishek. Maybe you have a couple of questions on that.
Yeah, thank you, Shruti. So, as you highlighted, Oskan, understanding customer feedback through direct, indirect, and inferred data is crucial. As you discussed, but like acting on this feedback is where real improvement happens. So, closing the feedback loop with VoC and contact center as a service solutions is essential. So, collecting feedback is just the first step, and then the real values lies in taking action based on the feedback. So integrating VOC platform with CCAAS can significantly streamline this process. And by combining the strength of both systems, businesses can ensure that feedback is not only captured but also addressed in a timely and efficient manner. So, for example, a telecommunication company might like integrate its VOC platform with its CCAS solution to route the customer complaints directly to the appropriate service team. That ensures like swift resolution and improving the customer satisfaction. And that integrated approach not only enhances the customer experience but also drives continuous improvement across the organization. So, Oskan, could you share your thoughts on how integrating the VOC with the CCAS solutions can help organizations to effectively close the feedback loop and enhance the customer experiences?
Yeah. So starting from the fact, call centers, contact centers, people have different positioning of them. Still holds over 20-25% of our industry, also customer industry. So by the design of the workflows, um, depending on the profile and segment of the customer too, usually customers try to do it by themselves first, either through online and mobile channels. If they can't figure that out, the address is the call center, contact center. And then if they couldn't figure that out, then the physical branches, venues, stores, etc. So within that service delivery, contact centers play a key role, especially also in physical experiences. You may also need to fall back into call centers. And then there's a lot of data there and there's a lot of experience. So we do see a lot of the customer experience professionals coming from a background of call center. So I'll give you an example. I'll give you a case study from our own customer base. If this is implemented correctly, how that actually impact, because you started with the closed loop. So one of our utility customers, okay, they are working in an area where there's a lot of government officials. And then this utility company, it's an electricity retail company. Their payment terms or payment cycles for those invoices were the first day of the month, and then they have about 7-8 days of payment, depending on if it is on weekends, weekdays, etc., etc. It comes to from 7th to 10th day of the month, and then they were having a lot of collection issues. So their collections rates were quite low, according to the industry. And then there was also big dissatisfaction from their customers. So what we do, we integrate that inferred data, that is, the collection data, which is not, as good as they expected. There is a problem with the collections. And then we get the voice of the customer from direct feedback, where we, on a transactional basis on billing and payment, we ask them their feedback. And then, we also work on all these people calling the call center. and then telling their feedback about this billing and also payment process. So what we came up with, all these government officials or workers were getting their salaries on the 15th of the month. So if you think about the cycle, and government officials and workers do not get paid high salaries nowhere in the world. That's, I think, consistent across the world everywhere. And then when you come to from 15 to another, the next 7th or 10, there's pretty much no money to pay none of the bill. Okay? So this was really the cycle that wasn't fit for their income cycle. So what we've done with this customer and Pisano platform with its AI capabilities, recommended them, saying that it is better if you change the payment cycle. So this utility company went ahead and then they changed their payment cycle from 1st of the month to 15th of the month. So around thousands of customers joined that campaign, and then they generated 3.2 million cash flow additionally compared to the previous month. And then the customer satisfaction with the newly established process was 91%. So that is how you use voice of customer data. And then that is how you derive that close the loop mechanism, not only for complaints, requests, et cetera, that's inner loop, but also there are these important projects, again, with the help of powerful platforms like Pisano, can help you integrating direct, indirect, inferred feedback data, call center data, surveys, etc., and bringing those insights to the businesses. I guess this could be a very important example, good example for businesses to consider how they implement their voice of customer programs.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Oskan, for highlighting this case study. And indeed, the closing the feedback loop is essential. And so is understanding the internal dynamics that affect the customer experiences. So that brings us to the growing demand for voice of employee and its synergy with the VoC as a pathway to total experience. So employees play a critical role in delivering customer experiences. By integrating VOE, VOC organization can right into the both customer and as well as employee experiences, creating a more holistic approach to experience management. So, Oscar, how do you see this integration of VOE and VOC contribution to total experience management and driving overall organizational success?
Absolutely. So, again, your position also in your reports, again, we're quite proud of being one of the leaders in your reports last year. And there's a big progress that we've made in this year's report to being another leader. And thank you very much for your appreciation of our efforts on that process. So Pisano offers that solution, which is combining that voice of customer and voice of employee data within the same account to bring in those insights. So what is the voice of employee industry? So voice of employee is comparatively a smaller industry compared to voice of customer. And mainly that industry is still, I can't give the exact numbers, but predominantly engagement surveys that are done annually, 2 times a year, like maximum quarterly basis. And then they are not really connected to these customer experiences or voice of customer, etc. They are like standalone application of these engagement surveys. So I won't get into the details of, again, if you survey your employees once in a year, twice in a year, you will again remember the experience of last week's, not the last 6 months, not the last 12 months, not last 3 months. So that is the risk of going through only engagement surveys. But we do see engagement surveys being a very powerful tool to understand the voice of employee across, again, the engagement, loyalty pillars of the voice of employee. But at the same time, there's a lot of life cycle and voice of customer integrated voice of employee applications that we do. So I'll give you a few examples. First of all, we discussed voice contact centers, right? Just in the previous example. So when we survey our customers post call, let's say that I call the call center and then I've done the transaction or the call that I need to have with the agent, and I receive a survey asking me how was my experience. So within these projects, we actually would like to see the other side of the coin. So we also ask the voice of employee to the agent. So how was agent satisfaction from that call? We know how hard it is to deal with difficult customers, but if we listen only one side of the experience, we may lose the point because there are this that story I just half told. There's also the other side of the story. So in these engagement points, like branches, like or stores, like call centers, we try to get the full picture. Also implementing the voice of employee there so that we can operationalize them. So when we think about voice of employee, majority of the people, since it's driven by the HR, people think that it's about compensation, it's about salaries, it's about benefits, etc. It's again, it's important, but it's just a part of the whole picture. But when we implement them together with our voice of customer initiatives, we understand. For example, you go to a bank branch and then you try to get a service, and then you're not happy with it because the you think that the relationship manager didn't do a good job. But when we listen to the relationship manager, we understand that actually the systems were down. We understood that the interfaces of those systems changed a couple of weeks ago. No one gave them a training. They don't know how to use those tools. There is a result governmental thing changed, and then this is not announced to the customer. So what can RM do there? So there is this other side of the story that we don't know if we only listen the voice of customer. So when you combine actually that voice of customer within the same transaction, within the same channel, with again combined to voice of employee, that is going to bring that 360-degree insights into all of these touch points, all of these transactions. So this is how we see the combination of voice of customer and voice of employee coming together. But also on the voice of employee side, there are a lot of different things like onboarding experience, like recruitment experience, like exit experience. These are, again, very important to understand from an HR, people, and culture perspective, to understand how the company is performing for internal purposes, to understand, again, how the people and culture is performing. But at the same time, there is a direct effect of those employees, direct effect of our own people on the experience of the customer. So we would like to also understand that. That's where we see the integration of voice of customer and voice of employee within the same touch points and within the same program.
Yeah, rightly said, Oskan. Like listening the employee side is also important than listening to the customer feedback. So total experience management is like about creating a balanced environment where both customers and employees feel valued and heard. So that's all from my side, Oskan. Over to you, Ajinkya.
Uh, Thank you, Ozkan, Shruti, and Abhishek, for such an insightful discussion. Your contribution have provided a valuable perspectives on the evolving landscapes of the VoC platforms and the integration of EOE, and of course the broader concept of the total experience management. To our audience, thank you for joining us today on Expertage. We hope this session has provided you with the valuable insights. Stay tuned for more such engaging discussions with the industry experts and the thought leaders. Until next time, keep exploring in the information and technology domain. Goodbye. Thank you.